exclusive interviews. Politics, exclusive interviews. The voices in your community. All right here on polititalk with Red Grant. Welcome to polititalk with Red Grant. I'm your host, Red Grant, and today we continue our special series, The Future of DC. Washington, D.C. is a city of great opportunity, but it's also a city facing important challenges. Residents want safer neighborhoods, stronger schools, affordable housing, economic growth, and opportunities for the next generation. Throughout this series, we've been giving voters the opportunity to hear directly from the individuals who are seeking to serve and lead our city. At Polititalk, we believe informed voters make stronger communities. That's why these conversations matter. As I've said throughout this series, Polititalk isn't about endorsement, it's about conversations. The voters will make the decisions, but first, they deserve the opportunity to hear directly from the candidates themselves. Today, we're joined by Oye Owolewa, candidate for at-large seat on the DC Council. At-large council member represents all 8 wards and every resident of the district, making this one of the most important positions in government. Oye, let me bring you up, brother. Hold on a second. Let me bring you up. Here you go. I'm sorry.
All right.
What's up?
Good to see
All right,
you.
there you go. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing amazing, brother Red. How are you doing?
I'm doing outstanding, man. But before we get to talking about the policy and your vision for Washington, D.C., tell us about the journey that brought you to this moment.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. Unlike most people, my story doesn't begin in DC. It doesn't even begin in the United States, although I was born here. My mom and dad were born in Nigeria, and they came here for school fresh off of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, a couple of decades after the Brown versus Board of Education. And they took advantage of that opportunity that people like you and some of the folks that came before us really fought for. And my parents raised me to not only excel, but also give back to those who created an opportunity for us. So I moved to DC after becoming a pharmacist, went to my ANC meeting, and I was urged to run for office, and I won that race by 1 single vote. Since then, we've been stepping up in the community, whether it's creating special clinics to help returning citizens. I know you support that, which I really appreciated. We have done business workshop classes, bring tens of thousands of dollars to nonprofits as well as entrepreneurs. And last but not least, we've done health pop-ups to really support seniors aging in place. And, a lot of that work has led folks to really believe in me and really push me to run for council so we can pass a budget that supports working class people, support arts, really support DC natives to make sure that people who built this district are able to afford to stay in this district. So I was really excited to talk to you, someone who encompasses all three, not just the arts, not just the DC natives, but also someone with the vision of keeping the folks who built this city here.
So one question some of my listeners want to ask, why are you running for at-large council?
Yeah, that's a great question. As you know, right now I'm the shadow representative fighting for DC statehood and someone who's been able to serve all 8 wards. And right now we have a very fragmented city. People in Ward 1 don't really talk to people in Ward 8. Folks in Ward 7 isn't really going to Ward 2 that much and not having those connective conversations. And as an at-large council member, I get to have the full landscape, the macro level view, so we can have a budget that invests in youth recreation, not just in youth detention. As someone who can use data, someone who can use clinical experience to really move our city forward, not only for the folks who've been the longest, but also our youth who we hope can become quality adults that can continue to live in DC and continue to be inspirations for the future generations.
What lessons have you learned from serving DC residents?
The biggest thing I've learned is that sometimes it's the little things. We all want to talk about ending crime. We all want to talk about affordable housing. But there's some seniors that just want an extra light or two or a crosswalk right outside of their senior building. They're the parents that want to make sure that the snow is plowed during the storm and not waiting 4 days after it's iced over to pay for expensive contractors, paying upwards of $67 million to remove snow in a manner that takes other states a lot less. A
Mm,
government that allows grants to go to everybody, not just the chosen few that seem to get every little thing. Sometimes the little things that make the biggest difference. And whether it's being a healthcare worker, whether it's be someone living in Ward 8 or someone running for at-large council, we can't avoid those little things.
mm. What issues receive too little attention in our city?
So right now, DC is a very reactive city. We don't
Mm,
want to fix anything until it's broken, and usually it means we just throw a lot of cash at it. A year later, figure out what could we've done better. I believe something that we need to do is reinvest in our healthcare system. The big unbeautiful bill is coming, and whether it's folks who have DC Medicaid, whether it's seniors that have Medicare, or even the healthcare providers that care for folks, we have to pay attention to our healthcare system. I live in
mm,
Congress Heights and we live on average 25 years less than our friends in Georgetown and Foxhall. Same
mm,
city, two huge disparities. And a lot of that has to do with our lack of attention to our healthcare system. In
mm,
Southeast, we have one hospital. You go to Georgetown area, there's three hospitals in throwing distance. And I believe we need to bring more equity and opportunity for Ward 5, Ward 7, Ward 8. Folks that have the highest amount of DC natives, mostly black folks, and sometimes we're getting the short end of the stick.
mm. Um, what is your vision for DC over the next 4 years?
I'm so glad you asked that. My vision is the reinvestment in the working class and the middle class, bringing thousands of international development careers to the district to rehire the federal workforce. A council that actually listens to people and responds to emails. It sounds simple, it sounds easy, but I'm sure you've been through it, right? You try to reach out to your council member and they tell you to call somebody, and then 3 months later, you already fix it yourself before you even get a response. We can't
Mm,
have that anymore. We
mm,
also need a council member that lives east of the river. It's not fair that we have one council member in Ward 7 and another council member in Ward 8 and the rest of them live on the opposite side. If they don't walk these streets, if they don't have to go to the same grocery stores, if they don't send their kids to the same schools, they don't feel these issues.
mm,
And there was a time when we lost our council member. He was expelled, Trayon White. And every at-large council member said we will be in Ward 8 so often that you wouldn't even know that he's gone. That was not true. Outside
mm,
of a ribbon cutting, outside of a performative walkthrough through a apartment building, they were nowhere to be found. That's when
mm,
our hospital opened up, another hospital went down. That's when the budget was passed that disinvested from Ward 8 communities. And that's when we pulled sports away. That's when we pulled youth activities away. That's when we reduced the hours of DPR. And now you're wondering why young people aren't able to interact with each other in a healthy manner. It takes not only money, but also the time. And you know this, Red. You spend so much time with young people when the camera's not even there, and you see how one touch point, two touch points, coming once every other month, really changes a young person's perspective. Now they say, I want to be a businessman like Red. I want to be a comedian like Red. I want to tour the entire country like Red. I want to go on radio stations like Red because they see your example and they can touch you and they can say, Red looks like my parents. That
mm,
early career exposure is just missing from young people right now.
mm. What role should economic development play?
It has a huge role. But I believe in developing locally. We have so many talented people in DC, whether they're artists, whether they're entrepreneurs, whether they've been in business for years. And I did my business workshops, teach them how to get grants, certifications, and contracts. And what
Mm,
breaks my heart is when folks think that, you know what, it's not gonna happen for me. I know that other guy over there, he's always swimming in money, and I can't even get $5,000.
mm,
So we spend a lot of time giving billions of dollars to billionaires and not even getting the $5,000 to that one lady like Cheryl around my way that wants to just get a license so she can create a childcare service. Or that guy who just wants that new sign above his building so it looks nicer. Or for my friends who own restaurants on Barracks Road that just want street lights so it'll be better foot traffic and people won't feel so frightened about being there at night. The
mm.
little things really matter. And when it comes to economic development, we have to develop the neighbor while we're developing the neighborhood. Otherwise, we're developing the neighborhood and displacing people who've been the longest. And that's what we've been seeing in DC.
How do we address affordability, though?
That's a great question. Whether it's housing, I believe that no one should pay more than 35% of their income in housing, whether it's social housing, co-ops, or even just putting some intentionality in filling the vacant units in DC is critically important. We have 10 to 15,000 vacant units. We have people
Mm,
sleeping outside. We have people who are about to be displaced, and there's no plan on filling those market rate spots. Landlords are trying to keep it open and wait for rich people to come. We got folks that are not trying to repair their current units that'll make it easier for someone to move in. And we have folks who are basically taking advantage of the voucher system, charging even more money than market rate because they know the government will foot the bill. We can
mm,
rein in on this like other states have been doing so. And I think it's time for DC to really have a huge inflection point and say, hey, are we going to stand up for those who are not the biggest donors, who are
mm,
not cutting the $1 million checks? Are we going to stand up for the folks who've been the longest, who really need good representation in the council and beyond?
mm. What role should economic? I asked that one. How do we support entrepreneurs and small businesses?
I'm so glad you asked that question. For the past 3 years, we had something called a Capital Business Seminar, where we
Mm,
taught mostly minority business owners on how to get grants, contracts, and certifications. I mentioned this earlier. First thing we need to do is create more capital, especially for businesses and entrepreneurs that haven't received it before. It's not fair that we have 2 day windows for the biggest grants, that you have to have a lawyer or two or have somebody on the inside of government to let you know what's happening. That's not fair. But number two, we also have to make our government actually work and be responsive to small business and local business owners. We're hearing things about the Department of Buildings that are not creating permits on time for folks. And then at the same time, months later, they're getting charged the vacancy tax.
mm,
That's not fair that the Office of Taxation Revenue and DOB are not communicating. We have business owners that are trying to do their best, but figuring, you know what, if the government here is so against me, I might as well take myself 4 miles to PG County and
mm,
go 10 miles to Northern Virginia. That's not
mm,
good for us in DC because those are jobs for the district. Those are economic opportunities. Those are linchpins for our communities. You know, those mom and pop shops really make the community and bring the folks together.
mm,
And at the time where we're seeing rising costs of rent, not just for people living in homes, but also for businesses when developers take over new places, we had to find a way to make sure that those costs aren't escalating, that we can use those savings to either build a business up or even pay the staff more. What they
mm.
shouldn't be seeing is rising rents like my friend Wanda on One's on Seventh is getting. Her rates are going up sky high just because she's responsible for property tax. No, she doesn't even own the building. We gotta find ways to support our business a lot better. It just takes some intentionality.
Yeah, Wanda's a good friend of mine. I love her to death. So
Wanda.
we definitely we got to help her. She's been in this community a long time.
Yeah.
How do we? What investments should we make in youth?
I'm so glad you asked that question. You know, I've been volunteering in classrooms for the past 12 years as a scientist, treating kids into liking science. And one thing I've learned is intentionality, not just money, but specifically time makes all the difference.
Hmm,
And right now, you know, we have a council that's talking about putting in youth curfews, and they're calling young people juveniles. They're telling young people they're not welcome in this community,
hmm,
and they're not talking about the investments that young people need to know what they want to be in life. Now, I live in Ward 8. I see a lot of kids cutting up. But when you ask them what they want to be in the next 5 years, they can't tell you. So the
hmm,
opportunity is right there to fill that gap with a career exposure to get them to where they want to be. Let them define success, but give them the pathway to get there. The investment we need, number one, we need to not only increase DPR hours for rec centers, but we also got to find programs that these young people want to do. We have
hmm,
young kids fighting outside, and we have rec centers empty.
hmm,
Again, we have kids fighting outside, and rec centers are empty. And if you go to these young people and you ask them what they want to do and build something that they want to get to for free, I guarantee you they will get there. I live next to Berry Farm Rec Center. They have the Goodman League. I know you know the Goodman League.
Go there all the
They
time.
have hundreds of people there every single night. Young, old, native, transplants, whatever. They got like one officer. And I swear that officer is sleeping because there is no drama that happens. People watching basketball, they are yelling a little bit, they're getting a little rowdy, but there's never been one fight in my years of going to the Goodman League. That's
Neither.
what happens when you put energy into something positive, something fun, and we are missing that in DC.
Hmm. It makes sense. And shout out to Miles Rawls who
Miles.
keeps it all together down there. What makes your candidacy unique?
What makes our candidacy unique is that it's not about me. It's the coalitions of organizations that have endorsed us. It's the faith leaders, the community organizations, the Working Family Party. It's us turning down corporate PAC money because we need to have candidates that answer simple questions with simple answers. We have
Hmm.
in the backing of folks who don't even really subscribe to politics so much. The Cheryl Moores, the Wanda Hendersons, folks that really believe in the new direction of the district. We're the campaign that's not looking to give corporations another handout, another $1 billion to $1 billion sports owner. No, we need to invest with the people that live here. We believe in the grassroots up. We're trying to bring jobs back to the federal workforce that have been laid off unsuccessfully. Unfairly. We're standing up against an ICE headquarter project that's coming to Southeast. And we're demanding that Clark Construction, one of DC's biggest business partners, to get themselves out of that project. We are having the tough conversations and we are naming names too. And we're doing this even though it's not great for a candidate to do this because DC deserves this. At a time where Trump is running ramshot over DC, we need people who are ready to stand up, but not wait until they're elected to stand up, right? You
Hmm.
don't become a leader once you're elected. You're a leader before you're elected. Like Red, I seen you come to MLK Library and talk to returning citizens about changing their lives around. You did not need a camera. You did not need to be elected. You needed to care. You needed to have the capacity to give. And this campaign demonstrates that. I'm doing this for the folks that gave me a chance when I didn't deserve it. I was the ANC commissioner in Ward 8, and I'm not from Congress Park. I'm not from Congress Heights. And I needed the people in the community to say, give that guy a shot. I think he's trying to help. I do it for them. And I'm not going to sell people out on this race to becoming a council member.
Man, that's good to hear. What would success look like after 4 years in your first term? What would success look like to you?
Success to me would be more kids in college, more kids at work, and fewer kids in prison.
Hmm.
Success to me is fewer health disparities between folks living in Ward 8 and Ward 2. Success to me is young kids reading at an age grade level by fifth grade. Success to me is business owners, local entrepreneurs getting their first grants, getting their first contracts, leveling up with the government like other people in other communities are.
Hmm.
Success to me is a council member responding to emails, showing up every day, not just showing up every 4 years when it's time to get that vote. And folks will say, I may not agree with everything, but I know he's here. And that makes a difference to me. I remember people telling me about Marion Barry. He had his own personal issues, but people remember getting their first jobs from Marion Barry. People remember getting their homes from Marion Barry. People remember the intentionality of Marion Barry putting Black people in federal working jobs. I want to bring that intentionality back. And success to me is a government that actually works for the people and not just talks at them.
Man, I had to pull up your commercial because I wanted people to be able to see, your vision. So I'm gonna play your commercial real quick. It's really funny.
Thank
Hold on
you.
a second.
Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Wait, you two are alive and can sing? So what else can you do?
We can campaign for you. I'm Dr. Oye, your neighborhood pharmacist. I'm Shower Rep Oye, now running for council at large.
I have a plan. Can you two split up and let everybody know about this election?
You bet.
Thanks, little Oyes.
Absolutely.
Now vote for us for DC Council at Large.
And small.
Oh man, that was good.
I gotta make a confession. You ready?
Yeah.
Do you remember the little Penny commercials with Penny Hardaway in the 90s?
Yeah, that's what
You gotta bring art. You gotta bring fun back into it. You have to bring joy back. Too many politicians want to make this so serious and angry, but sometimes it's about having fun. And if you can have fun and enjoy yourself in the campaign, then people will gravitate towards the conversation. And they might be tough conversations, but we realize we're in this together. Even if we don't agree, we'll get to somewhere where we all can win at the end. So yeah, little
Man,
Oye's bobblehead floating around DC.
well, we appreciate you. Oye, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your vision for Washington, D.C. And we appreciate you.
Thank you, brother, and thank you for everything you do. You've been an inspiration to me, and I'm not just joking. I like seeing you use comedy and arts as a vehicle of creating social change is something that inspires me to use healthcare in the same way and create the changes that we want to see in DC and beyond.
Man, thank you so much. Enjoy your day. I know you got a big one, and tomorrow's a big one for you too. Have a good one, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. These are exactly the kinds of conversation we need to be having as our city. Polititalk is committed to creating a space where voters can hear directly from the people seeking out to lead our communities and make informed decisions about the future of Washington, D.C. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, watched, and commenting, and participated in today's discussion. This is part of our ongoing Future of DC series, where we continue speaking to candidates, community leaders, and voices across the District of Columbia about the challenges, opportunities, and ideas shaping our cities. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Most importantly, stay informed, stay engaged, and make your voice heard. For Polititalk with Red Grant, I'm Red Grant. We'll see you next time. And remember, politicians work for us. The people of Washington, D.C. are the real bosses. Stay informed, stay involved, and I'll see you on the next Polititalk.